What's going on, guys? This is an Illegal Defense, episode 14 of our NFL part. So, we're going to get straight into our games for our weekly recap. First game we got up is the 49ers versus the Dolphins. 49ers took care of business and won this game 33 to 7. Unfortunately,
17.
33 to 17, my apologies. But unfortunately, the 49ers had a huge loss with Jimmy G. He's obviously out for the season, so Brock Purdy had to come in, Mr. Irrelevant, and take care of business, but seems to get the job done enough. And yeah, the 49ers came out on top. What was your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, yeah, we were waiting to see this game. This was the game I was most excited for coming into this week. And man, the 49ers came out to play. They kind of clamped down on those Miami Dolphins players and wouldn't let Tua shred them like he's been shredding a lot of other teams all year. Held those receivers and pretty much in check without letting them go crazy. And yeah, like that defense is legit. They showed up. They proved they are one of the best teams in the NFC. And on as far as the Dolphins go, tough loss. They've already kind of been taking some losses when Tua was out, so it's kind of important for them to get the wins they can to kind of reestablish themselves. That being said, they still have a pretty good record, and the problem for them is they're just in a division that's stacked right
It's
now.
really tough.
But yeah, look, they just ran into a tough defense. We know in the NFL, every game is a tough game. This one against one of the better teams. I thought it was a measuring stick game to see how legit they are. And while I won't say now they're not a legit threat, I do think it kind of put the Dolphins back to earth a little bit. Uh, some people very excited for what they can do in terms of making a playoff run. I don't think that's gone out the window, but it does kind of, I guess, put some things into perspective in terms of, look, there's still a ways for them to go at least. Now, does that mean they can't start peaking later towards the playoffs? No, but we understand that that kind of has to happen because them as they are, they can't play a game like that and think they're going to go in a playoff run.
Yeah, you can't do that.
No matter how good that 49ers defense is. Not to mention the fact that they gave up 33 points to the 49ers, which, look, the 49ers, they have some weapons, but I don't think,
They're not one of the most like
yeah,
explosive
yeah, you shouldn't
defenses
be
or
letting them score
offenses.
33 points on you. If you're putting up, 40 something points and they're going to have tons of possessions, okay, fine. If it's not some type of a shootout like that, you really can't afford to give up that many points to this 49ers team. If they have 33 points, I don't know what team is beating them if they're able to put up that much because I don't think any team is really going to run up the score on them if they're able to put up 33 points. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But otherwise, like you said, tough loss in terms of quarterback play. Ironically, I think for that team, they will probably manage okay.
Yeah, I think so for
I
sure.
don't know. Did they say Jimmy G is definitely out for the year?
Yeah, so Jimmy G is out for the year. They're gonna stick with Brock Purdy. Obviously, I mean they have very little depth at the quarterback position. Obviously, with Trey Lance going down, now Jimmy G. Kyle Shanahan mentioned it, I think, in the post press conference. But I mean, I think if I'm Shanahan or if I'm like just a 49ers fan, I think Shanahan believes in Purdy like
I guess
pretty
he
much
does
because it's
because
like
they could have picked up Baker and they did.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's like you could pick up like Baker's not the greatest quarterback.
but at least he can start for you.
Yeah, and we've seen him start with a great defense and with a run game, which is identical to what they have at the 49ers. So,
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how he plays. I think he did make a lot of good throws on Sunday. He did make a lot of good just decisions and he kind of had that grittiness to him. As far as the 49ers offense without Jimmy Garoppolo, I think they'll miss him on third down. That's one of the great things about Jimmy G. He has a great third down conversion as a quarterback. So yeah, again, it's a tough loss, but I think the 49ers will be able to keep afloat.
Man, on another note for the 49ers, how rough is that? You lose both your starting quarterback,
Yeah.
so to say, in the same year, out for the year. You got to roll with Brock Purdy. We'll see what Brock Purdy could do. I'm sure they're still going to be able to get some wins behind that strong defense and running game, and Kyle Shanahan's creativeness on the offensive side of the ball. But what a weird situation if Brock Purdy starts to thrive and then they have make a
Three
decision between three
quarterbacks.
of these quarterbacks. I don't know if it'll get that far. My guess is Brock Purdy will probably do enough to make himself some money
Yeah.
if he can keep this team afloat. But just an interesting situation where two quarterbacks go down that plenty of teams could use either of them, and now you got to go with the third guy, and
And the third guy doesn't look too bad either.
yeah, so far he doesn't.
So moving on, we're gonna get into the Chiefs and Bengals game. The Chiefs visited Cincinnati and they lost 24-27. The Bengals took care of business. Jamar Chase, his comeback game, and you know, there's something about Joe Burrow in big games where he just rises to the occasion because there's been a lot of games this year where I've watched the Bengals and Joe Burrow. He kind of looked a little flustered, didn't look like himself. But again, it's like, all right, how important is this game? But when I mean, he matches up phenomenal against Joe or against
The Chiefs.
the Chiefs and Pat Mahomes. Like, so it's kind of like Joe Burrow. I feel like he has the it factor. Two, he's very poised. He gets rid of the ball quickly, and he's a very like he just has like a very calmness to him. And
Mhm.
as if I'm an NFL franchise and I have a quarterback that's very like, oh, there's pressure coming. Oh my God, he's gonna, you know, he embodies what you would want out of your quarterback. But just in general with this game, I think it was a great performance by him. Great performance by the Bengals defense as well to only hold the Chiefs to 24 points. I mean, it's hard and it's hard to hold the Chiefs to 20 points or 24 or like 30 points, whatever the case is. But hats off to the Bengals. I mean, they took care of business and they did what they could do. So
Yeah, and like you said, Joe Burrow's a problem for the Chiefs. They just can't. Oh, I mean, they can't get past the Bengals in general for some reason.
yeah,
If you're the Chiefs and you're having this spectacular season, do all you can to avoid being on the Bengals side of the bracket in the playoffs and having to play those guys. Because that team could just stomp their dreams away. And it seems like Joe Burrow, like you said, seems to play good in big games. Against the Chiefs, it's always going to be a big game for them. And I mean, look, there's a reason why, Joe Burrow is considered one of these franchise guys. He's like you said, he's a calm guy, but he also has that dog in him, right? We see him, one, be able to make incredible plays, but also he gets fired up and he gets the guys behind him, and which is another important part of being the leader of the team, and it's something that he's been able to kind of slide right in. Right, there's never been any questions about his leadership skills or his ability to lead the franchise. And people forget Joe Burrow's still a pretty young guy.
Yeah.
And he's really taking control of that franchise. There's no chatter about any sort of getting rid of Joe Burrow. You're very happy to have a guy like Joe Burrow who is considered one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Bengals fans will probably tell you he's probably top 10 or so.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's around that range. It's very hard at this day and age with so many quarterbacks where you're going to place him, but he is for sure one of the more promising quarterbacks in the NFL. And at such a young age, so much more to play, so much more that he can accomplish. So yeah, definitely big win for the Bengals. Their problem will be winning some of these other games that aren't big games, right? That's where they seem to stumble a bit. So we'll see how that goes as they try to, make their own push for the playoffs.
right. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with the playoff situation, especially with how the AFC North is panning out. So,
Mhm.
speaking of divisions, we have another division game with the Commanders versus the Giants, and this was a tie ball game.
Yeah, this
So,
game goes to overtime, ends in a tie. They were showing all these graphics all week about what it means for the winner of this game. If either one of them won this game, they had like an 80% chance to make the playoffs, and then of course they tie it.
Pretty
They
good chances.
they do play again in 2 weeks, week and a half, something like that. I think the Commanders go on by and then they play the Giants again. One of those weird type of schedule things because they didn't play them earlier in the season and they have to play
Now they
them
have to
twice.
play them. Yeah.
So there'll be another opportunity there for both of these teams. But yeah, look, to get a tie here, it's not the greatest, it's not the worst for both of these teams, knowing they have a second chance. If you're the Commanders, you probably feel better about this than the Giants, considering this was a home game for the Giants. And the Commanders really have been kind of peaking of late. You know, they've been able to kind of start racking up these wins after a not so great start. Taylor Heineke comes in and kind of showing that he should have
He
been the
deserves
guy
the
from
spot, yeah.
from the beginning. You know, why did they try to move on from me? Last year they should have kept me as a starter. Pretty much is what he's saying with his play. So look, good for Heineke. He's making money. He was a guy who nobody would have thought would be in this position. And yeah, look, they have weapons. Their passing game, they show up sometimes. This game was iffy. The Giants are just a tough team, man. They play teams close, just being gritty, just finding a way to make some timely plays, finding a way to stay in the game, finding a way to get some stops here and there. They're not really spectacular on either side of the ball, so it's kind of weird to watch them all the time and think if they're going to win or
Show
not.
that,
Yeah.
yeah.
But they've been close most of these games. I mean, the Seahawks game got Seahawks pulled away a little later in that matchup, and the score didn't reflect how close it was. But for the most part this year, the Giants play every game close. They've won more games that they lost. They're in a tough division in this NFC East where all those teams are fighting for the playoffs. So we'll see how this goes between these two teams, and we'll talk about the next matchup soon when they play again.